Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Dear Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Darling, nurse and energy facilitator, here to help you come home to yourself, one soul conversation at a time. This space is for the ones walking between worlds, the healers, the fillers, the women rediscovering their light after burnout or breakdowns. Together, we talk spirituality that's real, healing that is honest, and soul growth that meets you right where you are. So take a breath, pour yourself up some tea, and let's drop in because your spirit's been waiting for this conversation. Hey, what is up, and welcome back to Dear Spirit Podcast. If you are new here, I'm your host, Sabrina Darling, and I just want to start out by saying welcome. I hope everybody had a phenomenal week. Yesterday was Mother's Day. So if you are a mother and you're listening to the podcast, I just want to say happy Mother's Day to you, dear. And I want to thank you for all of the many hats that you wear, from the nurse to being the housekeeper, the master negotiator, and just everything. Just thank you for being you. Thank you for being light. Just know you are loved. Know that you are so appreciated. Happy Mother's Day to you. We also celebrated Nurses Week last week. So if you are a fellow nurse listening to the podcast, I want to say to you, Happy Nurses Week. Thank you for all it is that you do. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Thank you for the love that you give that overflows into the care that you provide. Happy Nurses Week to you, dear. So, with all of that being said, I just want to say I hope you guys again had an amazing week. Mine's was kind of so. You know, um I kind of felt like this week I was like all over the place. I really don't even know the reason why. My brain is just all over the place. I do know though, I did start last week. I joined a 30-day reset with my friend. It's her group. And for the next month, we had to come up with something that we wish to detox from or something that we wish to implement at this time that would be beneficial to us. So, one of the things that I chose to work on was having a more positive mindset. Um, so this week I've been doing some serious reflecting. I think one thing that I do want to be consistent with as well is showing up for myself. I kind of think of myself as a woman with few words. That is how I think of myself. I'm a cave woman at heart. So definitely one thing I want to work on with during this 30 days is showing up more consistently for myself, not only with this podcast, but just in life in general, being more consistent with my eating habits, with just pouring into myself more, being consistent with family time, resting without guilt. That's another one I want to work on. And one thing I noticed so much this week is I scroll too much. I am on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram way too much. Not even producing content, but I'm scrolling endlessly. And that has to come to a stop because one thing I need to do more of is be more productive. I don't have that much time as it is with everything I have going on. And the little time that I do have, I spend it looking at the lifespan of an octopus or a honeybee, just the weirdest stuff. Like, I don't. think knowing a lot of these things is going to get me that far. So definitely stopping to stop doom scrolling is a start in being more intentional with what it is that I wish to create in this life. So, my dear, for you, I encourage you for this next week to sit with yourself and reflect on what is it that you wish to change, or be more intentional with for the next couple weeks as well. Like, hey, just see what you come up with. It might be interesting for you. So I don't want to talk you guys your ears off. So um we are going to shift gears a little bit and talk about, well, this is pretty much a continuation of last week's episode. I considered that a mini awakening. It was really all about me just kind of stumbling into yoga by injuring my back at the gym, and kind of exploring more of the many benefits that yoga has to offer. So, if you want to know more about those experiences, then you want to listen to the episode before this one. So, those experiences happened around 2011, 2012 ish. So, fast forward a year later, I ended up getting my own place with my family. During that time frame, I pushed all of the experiences, all of the woo stuff, exploring spirituality behind me. At that time, I really did not understand how any of those things could benefit me. And I was so focused on making ends meet, paying bills. I just really tucked all of that into the back of my brain. And I want to say about 7 years later, towards the end of nursing school, I was so stressed out. Um, I was working two part-time jobs at the time. It was the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I remember sitting at the table studying, and a little light bulb went off in my head. And I decided to play sound frequencies. So I started to do that quite routinely. I would play sound frequencies when I went to bed at night because I was having trouble sleeping. So soon as I started to do that, about maybe a couple weeks into this routine, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would look up and I would see this huge grid across the ceiling, but not really on the ceiling. It was as if it was suspended in the air, like it had a holographic nature to it. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and they would be red or blue or green. And I would like kind of buck my eyes in disbelief, like, am I seeing what I really think I'm seeing? Yep, I am. And then I would roll over and go back to sleep because it felt harmless. So, for the first couple times, I did go on Google and try to get some information about what it is I was seeing. Of course, that was not helpful. Um, I did look into like sleep paralysis, just making sure, like, okay, is that what I could be experiencing? But one of the key factors was it only happened when I play sound frequencies. And one thing about playing certain sound frequencies, when you are releasing or healing something within you, you will experience a variety of different things. So I do feel like I was healing something within me. I just really don't know what it was. And the way the grids look, it almost reminded me of the electric magnetic field that every living thing is encased in. But just in this situation, this field was expanded. It was huge. Um, so yeah, I experienced that a couple nights. I continued to play these sounds at night, and I remember one night being waken up, and I glanced over to my right. On the right side of my bed, there was a wall, and that wall was covered up with this thin, beautiful gold writing. Now, this writing was not, I could not understand it. It definitely was not any writing of this world. It wasn't like in um old language or anything like that. It was not hieroglyphics or anything like that. It was definitely writing, but not of this world. And this writing, just like the grids I saw before, it covered the entire wall, but it was not resting on the wall. It was kind of suspended in the air as well, in that same holographic form. And I remember just looking at the language, studying it, looking at the way the symbols and the writings would curve. It was just so insane. And I remember because I was sitting up in my bed at this point, like, what is it? What the hell is this? So then I glanced over to my left, and this writing covered the entire room. Again, suspended in the air. Um, so I was just like, oh, okay. And I lay back down and go to sleep. So when I woke up the next morning, I'm on Google because I didn't forget that. I'm on Google and trying to look up what is it that I actually saw. Again, Google didn't have the answers. So that never left me. That experience never left me, and I began to get quite curious. And now looking back, I still don't know 100% what that was, but I do feel like it was a form of light language. Back then, I didn't have a clue what light language was, but now I do. And now I am able to channel light language. But back then, I definitely think that was a light language being expressed. Um, And that experience was kind of the catalyst for everything else. That is really what pushed me to look further into energy work and want more answers as to what it is I'm seeing and what it is that I am experiencing. Weeks later, I'm scrolling on my phone like 2:30 in the morning, and an ad for Reiki pops up on my phone. And I thought, oh, I really don't know what Reiki is, but I knew it seemed pretty cool. I wanted to give it a try. So I'm scrolling on my phone and I ended up finding a Reiki practitioner in my area. I click on her website, read her information, and after reading it, I realized she no longer did sessions for Reiki, and she also started to teach a new type of energy system known as New Paradigm Multidimensional Transformation. So, those of you who aren't new here know about New Paradigm because I've explained it in previous episodes. But for those of you who are just hearing those words for the first time, New Paradigm in a nutshell is freedom from fear, and we work with the energy of love without conditions, which is a very beautiful energy. And we also work with higher dimensional energies as well. So when we channel these energies, what they do is they dissolve limiting beliefs, and they also help to clear up emotional debris. So there is big transformations happening when you are using um this type of energy system. And this is why I love it so much. So, anywho, I reach out to the practitioner and she lets me know through email she no longer holds energy classes for the public. she pretty much reserves them for her students who take her workshop. After looking over her workshop descriptions, even a week later, I was still interested in taking her courses. So I reached out to her and let her know I wanted to sign up. And for the first day of the workshop, I went in with an open mind. And let me just say the workshop was absolutely wonderful. For day one, we pretty much went over the basics of the energy system. So we are all familiar with the seven chakra system and new paradigm. They focus more on the 12th chakra system. It's an expanded version. So I really love that aspect of the class. And then we had a lot of meditations within our workshop. And one thing about these workshops, they just hit different. They were incredibly powerful. You could take 2 shots of espresso before the meditation, and once you are into the meditation within like 5 minutes, you are knocked out snoring. They are that powerful. So these meditations acted as activations for channeling this new higher energy frequencies. So after the meditations, we would get up and we would do hands-on healing. We will work in a group of three. One person would be lying on the table receiving the healing, and the other two would be walking around you and just facilitating the healing. The amazing thing about hands on healing is that energy is so very intelligent. The practitioners would know what part of the body to touch, when to go work on another part of the body. While you're laying on a table, you might get just a intuitive hint to release or let go in a certain part of the body. Sometimes you would even feel an extra pair of hands come and maybe touch you on your third eye or on your shoulder. I just thought that was really incredible that when you are in those spaces, spirit really does come through and help to support and facilitate your healing. So after the hands-on healing, the next day we come back and we do the same thing over. More meditation, more releasing, lots of crying. I did feel like in those spaces you are supported so very much. And also you develop like a kind of a sisterhood or something like that. So that was really cool to be a part of that. On my second day in the workshop, I did receive my first vision. While I was on my way to the workshop, actually, I kept getting a image of a wolf in my third eye. So I really didn't think nothing of it, but soon as I got into the class and sat down, I started to see this vision of this big, beautiful gray wolf again. And at this time, I knew exactly who the wolf was for. And I was just closing my lips so tight and trying to ignore the message. But eventually, I did ended up just spilling it out for the person that it was intended to. So when you are working on yourself, releasing a lot of limiting beliefs and fears and emotions stuck in the tissues of your body, you do become lighter and you are more sensitive to information that is needed to come forth for other people. So after the workshop, we went home with like some aftercare information. And you know what? I am going to stop this episode here because I want to share all of the other experiences after the workshop in the next episode. If you did enjoy listening to this episode, don't forget to follow this podcast and also share it with a friend who might find this interesting. I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another Heart to Heart on Dear Spirit podcast. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a soul sister who might need to hear it too. And remember, you're not behind, you're becoming. Every breath, every boundary, every moment of stillness is part of your return to self. I'll talk to you soon, beautiful soul. Until then, stay grounded, stay open, and always dear to your spirit.